All right, so first I want to start by saying Kalalal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of James Stone, and salutation to you, Akim out there pushing this truth in sincerity, the hopeful elect. Once more, Shalom. This is the brother Cannon from GMS Jamaica. And just a quick lesson, I mean, nothing major, but a lot of persons out there have this misconcept or um, false information that there's a precept in the Bible that says children should be having children, and that is far from the truth, right? Now, as I said, that is far from the truth. Just a quick proof: when you type in "children having children" in the Bible, basically this is the BLB Blue Letter Bible, and when you type that in, you get the results that you get will show you that basically um, that is far from the truth, as we've been saying. There's nowhere in the Bible that says children shall be having children in the last days, or any where children should be having children. Now, what is a child? A child is basically a young human being below the age of puberty or below the legal age of majority. Now, there's two different statements here. One is basically going to the natural way of a child, and one is basically a law that is basically implemented to determine if you're no longer a child or not. Now, concerning puberty, puberty is basically reaching the age of your flower or basically being able to reproduce. All right. Once you go into puberty, it means that you're now changing from a child to an adult. All right, and this normally it takes place or whether for some people it's 12, 13 there, but some for 14. And that's the reason why countries have different age of consent, right? There are countries that are basically giving you the ability to give consent to having sex, whether you're 13, some 14, some higher than 14, some go up to 16, some saying 18. It doesn't. So basically what I'm trying to say is um, society placing laws, what is the correct or the right way to get things to look into this, right? Because society creates its own laws based on where you're living and who is ruling, right? Now a lot of people like to say don't judge, and you are not supposed to judge, which is not really so, but um these are laws created for what? Judging, for judgment. You know what I mean? So different countries with different laws for different judgment, basically. Um, Based on where you are located, you're gonna work with that mentality because you were brought and taught that way. All right. For example, in the early maybe 60s or lower than the 60s, it was perfect for your grandparents or great grandparents to have a child at the age of 14 or 15. It was the norm. No, through changes in laws, basically, you are now looking at this as something evil or something that is not right. You know what I mean? So basically, all the years before we were living, or great grandparents were living wrong, and we finally find the correct way to live, because someone says that, look, in the West, basically, we should not give age of consent to 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, but we should basically give them to 16, and they want to higher the age limit. So now they're saying that you need to be 18 to basically um, have the ability to give consent. Now let's go to the age of majority. So the age of majority is the threshold of adulthood as recognized or declared in law. So whatever your country states is the law for a person to be an adult, that is what is the age of majority. That is the age of a majority. So as I state, you're going to have different countries with different laws, right? It is the moment when minors cease to be considered such and assume legal control over their persons, actions, and decisions, thus terminating the control and legal responsibility of the parents or guardian over them. Most countries set the age of majority at 18, but some jurisdictions have a higher age and others lower. The word majority there here refers to having greater years and being of full age as opposed to minority. The state of being a minor, well, that's minor, that's minority, right? The state of being a minor. It said the law in a given jurisdiction may not actually use the term age of majority. The term typically refers to a collection of laws bestowing the status of adulthood. The age of majority does not necessarily correspond to the mental or physical majority of an individual. So it may not correspond to the mental and physical maturity of an individual. So let's say you're not trained in a society to be an adult at certain age, right? But they just place an age. Whenever you reach this age, you are an adult. So even though okay, so basically you are not developed as a 25-year-old mentally to act and behave as an adult, but because the age of adult or adulthood or age of majority is 18, once you reach that age basically you're an adult. That's what it's basically saying. All right. um or physical maturity, so a person may not, let's say for a female, what normally determines if you're an adult as a female, you go into puberty, meaning you seen your period and all these things, right? So let's say you're a late bloomer, right, and you've reached the age 18, just for saying sake, and you haven't seen your period as yet. You're still an adult even though you're not physically mature. You're not able to reproduce. You're not able to do any of these based on the age of majority. You see me? All right, so you can read all of that for yourself. Let's get back to sexual maturity. So, sexual maturity, don't want to make this too long either. Sexual maturity is the capability of an organism to reproduce. So, you can be an adult according to age of majority, and you're not sexually mature if you want to think about it that way, because you're not able to reproduce, or you're not develop in that mindset or that mental, that bodily structure to reproduce. It may be considered synonymous with adulthood. So not only that, sexual maturity is basically can be synonymous with adulthood, right? Because really and truly sexual maturity is also developing or becoming an adult. It is you being an adult, right? From the moment that you are able to reproduce, you're no longer a child, you're an adult, you're mature, right? It says, but in humans, puberty encompasses the process of sexual maturation, and adulthood is based on the cultural definition, right? So this is another term that them use, sexual maturation and adulthood is basically cultural definition. Can be the cultural definition is we are never sure what age a person is, because different culture have different beliefs and different ideas. So where do we not? Because if in a, okay, so I'm gonna say whatever land you basically fall into, you have to obey the laws in that land. So let's say you went to Nigeria and the age of consent or an adult to the Nigeria is different from in the West. What we're gonna do, you're gonna basically adapt to that law there. So your family living in Jamaica or living in the Caribbean or living in the West are gonna look upon whatever you're doing in Nigeria as totally wrong, because the laws in Nigeria differs from the laws in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Anyways, all right. All right, let me just get a precept here real quick. All right, so this is Corinthians 7 and verse 35. Let's start from 36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age and needs to require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let them marry. The word marry here means to join, which is by having sex. Alright? Virgin is basically a young lady who never have sex before. You know what I mean? It's that if she passed the flower of her age, or a young lady basically in total. But naturally, she never got sex. If she passed the flower of her age, this is the important part, the flower of her age. What does it mean to pass the flower of her age? Because the Bible is saying that once a female passes the flower of her age, she's an adult, right? And she can have sex, she can marry, right? Now let's dig into this a little bit more. All right, so we're gonna click on past the age of her flower. So this is a strong, right? And let me just play this. Uparakmos. Right, so uparakmos basically means it says beyond the bloom or prime of life. It says overripe, plump, and ripe, and so in a greater danger of defilement. So yeah, you're ready because a girl once she start reach that age or a dude, them I got feelings for one the thing. So you're now troubled by the whole sense of your hormones are kicking and you get driven for the things. Which a lot of people today, whether you want to believe it or not, despite the laws of the land, is still happening. They are sexually active. You know what I mean? This is the reason I thought the last time I read an article, because I did a video like this once. Last time I read an article about they were trying to basically not imprison um, teenagers, basically, according to them, teenagers, children, child, that are basically sexually active are um, within that age bracket. So I guess from 12 to or 13 to 17 thereabout. Because really and truly them not gonna have enough space to put the amount of people we are gonna get got prison. You know what I mean? It is that bad because some of them are try stop, which is nature, is natural, and it is hard for it's been happening. It still a happen, and it'll continue to happen. See what I say? Now this explain that perfect. It's a simple. All right. Is the age of consent in Japan really 13? Of course it is 13, right? Different countries, different time frame. I'm not a beta dead so a real quick video. Says China 14. Some other countries, different age, you know what I mean? So the minimum age of them have is what, 12. Which I said earlier, the lot of girls see them period at the age of 12. And I mean 12, 13, 14 thereabout, right? So the the people that are basically complaining and saying, yes, you're following the laws of the land, you're following the laws of man, and yet still you're saying that not judge or whatever, whatever. And I mean, it's just a quick lesson for sure. So you look here, not to just disobey the laws of the land, but to have some form of understanding that you're not tricked. Because really and truly, the reason why you believe that you must not you believe in this is because you were taught this, but you don't know the reason why this was pushed on you. It's basically to control population and to reduce reduce population on a whole. Because if you're not gonna have kids at an early age, you know what I mean, you're gonna have less chance of having more kids. They might tell us, oh, poverty and all of that. Guess what? Who engineer poverty? Who engineer? Because the entire earth was already there to feed human, mankind, so to speak. You know what I mean? All they did have to do was just farm the land where you have, but these men are creating it so difficult for our families to basically cope. You know what I mean? You have to go through um them system basically if you can sustain, and then even teachers say, yo, look here, you can't get land and these things if you basically continue your family and all of that. I mean, beside the point, but just to show you, man or God, where your mind where you stand with man or God. Alright, so that one I say Kalalal Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash, the banners again to the apostles and the elders of James Stone, and to you came out there.